Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last Game Analytics webinar of 2025. My name is Thomas Hupka. I'm the marketing manager here at Game Analytics, and today I will be your host. We decided to dedicate this webinar to the Roblox community that is rapidly growing every day and is becoming more and more popular, not just among players, but also among developers. And specifically to those, we are dedicating this webinar. Game Analytics is fully compatible with the platform, and we support the biggest launches as well as small creators with data insights and infrastructures. Today, we will discuss three main topics. It will be the Roblox performance or the player behavior on the platform based on our latest 2025 Roblox benchmarks. We will discuss what it's like to be building on the platform in 2025 and almost in 2026 now, what it's like to switch from mobile to Roblox, and we will also touch upon branded experiences. Don't worry, this is not a monologue or a presentation from Game Analytics. I have two experts, two guests here with me in the studio. Firstly, Stephen Dypiangco.
Hello.
Stephen is the CEO of Max Power Gaming. I'm sure you know his Roblox newsletter. If not, head over to the website and subscribe. And secondly, there is Olli Raudus.
Hi.
He is the CEO of All Hats Studio. Guys, before we move forward, would you like to introduce yourself and share a bit of your background?
Sure. Yeah, I can kick off. Really happy to be here. So yeah, I'm Stephen Dypiangco, CEO of Max Power Gaming. So at Max Power Gaming, we are focused on sort of building a network of Roblox professionals. We support that network with content, insights, events, helping facilitate with advisory and partnership services. And so, yeah, have worked in the space for over 3.5 years. And have worked on a lot of projects with a lot of brands and have really gotten to know the Roblox ecosystem really well. And so, yeah, excited to have this conversation with Game Analytics and with Olli.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, hi, I'm Olli Raudus. I'm the CEO of All Hats. All Hats is a 5-person studio from Finland, and we focus on developing Roblox experiences both for clients and also creating our original own IPs. And before this, I made mobile games. So I had startups, 2 startups before this where we made mobile games. And then we transitioned into Roblox about 3 years ago. So now I'm kind of like representing the experience on transitioning from a different platform to Roblox. So feel free to ask anything related to that. Happy to be here.
And we will, thanks, Olli. And we will surely speak about that transition during our webinar. So as you can see, we've got great experts here on a panel with us. Before we move to the content of this webinar, just in case that there is someone based in London in the audience, Stephen, Max Power Gaming, and Game Analytics will host a UGC event there during BGC London. So that is 21st of January. And so if you are based in London or if you're traveling to BGC, please come and join us. And I believe it's 20th of January, actually.
I think it's the 20th, yeah.
Perfect. Let's get to our agenda. As I already outlined, we recently published a 2025 Roblox benchmarks report that actually Game Analytics co-wrote with Stephen. I wanted to ask now, 3 months after publishing, Stephen, what are your key takeaways?
Yeah, so I think that the way that we approached this particular report, which was sort of the second time I'd gotten to work with Game Analytics and break down the data that, sort of aggregated, anonymized data that they have, which represents a large portion of sort of the daily active users on the Roblox platform. What we did differently this time was we looked at sort of benchmarks from the perspective of taking a look at how game benchmarks are set up based on engagement time. So we broke up each sort of like all of the different games into different buckets. So it was like a really low engagement. I think it was like 0 to 3 minutes, 0 to 4 minutes, and then 4 to 7 minutes, 8 to 12 minutes, something like that, 13 to 17 minutes, 18 to 24, and then 25 minutes plus. So there were a few different sort of buckets, and, you know, like no surprise, the games that had really low engagement, really low engagement time, 4 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, typically under 10 minutes, they had really low retention. They had really low monetization. And then when you looked at the opposite, when we, games with really high engagement, over 20 minutes, you started to see that these games had really strong retention. People were coming back way more frequently. You also had much higher monetization. And so, yeah, for us, it was like, this clearly makes sense, but it really sort of speaks to, wow, yeah, you need to have games that are keeping players playing for a long time. That's really a key part of, having a successful Roblox game. And if you have a game now that is, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, it's going to be really hard to make that game, one that is so much better at retention, so much better at monetization. You really need games that are able to keep players for a long time.
Right. That's a great summary. Thank you, Stephen. Olli, do you have key takeaways from the report?
Yeah, Stephen already said many good things, but I can tell from the developer's perspective that when we started, or a couple of years ago, it was very hard to find any kind of benchmarks. Back then, even Roblox didn't give any benchmarks. So now we have some kind of benchmark from Roblox, but this is actually more actionable that I like. Like, for example, if I have a 10-minute average session time, I can look at the report and check the bucket of where my game lands and see like there are concrete suggestions what to do next, whether I should focus on increasing retention and how could I do that, or should I focus on monetization. And I think that's very useful, especially when you start and try to see where you stand on the platform with your game.
Nice. Glad to hear that it has impact. Stephen, you already touched upon this, but what we saw consistently across almost all intervals, apart from the longest session length, although in the long term there was a struggle as well, the retention was not exactly up to par with, for example, what we see in mobile. Can you talk to why is that, and what can developers possibly do to retain attention from their players over time?
Yeah, for sure. So, and yeah, I don't necessarily come from the mobile gaming world, but as I've worked with game analytics for a couple of these reports now, I've heard you all make that reference. Oh wow, these numbers are so much lower than what we're used to seeing on mobile gaming. And part of the challenge with Roblox is that it's so easy for people to switch. There's so many options on the platform. I imagine, right, if you're in mobile gaming and you're able to drive a download, well, then that game now lives on your screen. And so you might see it more often and think to go join that game. But when you come to Roblox, there's millions of games. And the games that, are getting surfaced are games that are recommended by the Roblox algorithm. There's games that your friends are playing. There's games that you've already played before. And so it's really easy for people to be like, oh, you know what? I tried this game and I don't really like it, so I'm not going to come back to it, and I'm going to go jump to something else. And so that ability to switch is really, really difficult to work against. And so what that means is like, yeah, you really have to nail that like onboarding, right? That user onboarding. You have to capture people's attention in the first minute, like couple minutes, or else people, if they're having issues, if they're not having fun right away, then they're leaving. And so certainly that's the first part, is kind of hooking them. And then, once, if you're able to deliver a fun game that is really getting them excited to keep playing, and then they've had a good experience, maybe they've stayed 15 minutes, how do you keep them coming back? And part of that, retention is really about, maintaining, live ops, having really strong live ops that keeps your game sort of front and center and gives them reason to come back. And so because of that, we've seen, especially this year, lots of games putting out updates every single week on Saturdays, and changing their icon on the platform, saying update in 6 hours, and then next one, update in 4 hours, update in 15 minutes, and really just driving that urgency to get people to come back. And so there's lots of tactics. It all starts with having, again, a strong game that people will enjoy, but then once you get past that hurdle, it's about how do you keep them coming back, and live ops is really fundamental to making that happen.
Yeah, that sounds like a very dynamic and almost urgent place, right? Where creators have to be really on their toes to stay on the homepage. Olli, you are a creator. You have a studio. Can you second what Stephen just mentioned, or have you possibly found a different way to stay on the homepage to really retain the visibility?
Yeah, definitely. I can second what Stephen said, but I could maybe elaborate a bit more on the algorithm side. So, like Stephen mentioned, that the algorithm plays a big part on the discoverability, and then whether you are on the front page, because the user decides to, maybe they decided that they will open Roblox because of your game. But then what if there is some very new popular interesting game on the front page? They might go try it instead, or they might have like an idea that, okay, I go play your game for a bit of it, but then I really want to try the other game as well. They will see a lot of different content every time they come to the platform. So you also want your game to be on the front page with the other games when they are coming to there. So I get, like Stephen said, it's hard to get there, but it's also hard to stay there. But that can drive you a lot of good numbers, and we'll keep you there as well. But easier said than done, I suppose.
Right. So previously, Stephen said that he doesn't come from the mobile world to be able to compare these benchmarks, but Olli, you actually do. You were first a mobile game developer, and then you ventured into Roblox about 3 years ago. What are the main differences you are seeing? And particularly, I would like to ask you, what are the differences in monitoring KPIs and data needs that you can mention?
Yeah, on a high level, it's kind of same that you need to look into the core metrics like retention and session times, etc. And marketing, if you're running ad campaigns, you need to see how low is the cost per play, etc. Where in mobile, it's very important to have a good retention and good return on ad spend, etc. And that's usually tested very early, and that can make or break the game. It's kind of same on Roblox, but also on Roblox, you have the algorithm because it is in the platform. So there are other signals as well that is very important for Roblox games, such as whether you play with your friends, whether the session you come to the game is actually like qualified, it's a good session, and whether you spend money on the game, it all feeds into the algorithm that will closer to the front page or more to the users that would probably like your game. So those are very important on Roblox that necessarily was not that high priority on mobile, at least in the beginning. So
yeah, that sounds like quite a difference. But yet we still see developers who are coming to Roblox that they continue developing as they used to on mobile. But now you are describing how Roblox is different. It's more emergent, as we know. It's very social. It's hangout first. It's all about co-play and the hook. What is the biggest mindset shift that new studios have to make, in your opinion?
yeah, that's a good question. I think you should always learn target audience and the platform and how the people behave, because Roblox as a platform is way more than just a gaming platform. It's also kind of like a social media in a way for some people. They keep contact through the game, through the platform. And I would take into account like what are the strengths of that and how you can empower that even more so that the users get even more engaged with the platform and your game. And yeah, so it's a very different, like, whereas on mobile, making multiplayer game or 3D worlds that are like physics based and everything is very time consuming and can be expensive. But on Roblox, you get it right away. So maybe you can use it to your advantage. So that's what I think.
Right. And in terms of your team, did you have to make any changes? Did you build a brand new team for your new studio, or was it the shift that your previous studio made?
Yeah, we founded this company like from the ground up to be a Roblox development company. So it's just me and one co-founder, our CTO Simo. We founded it together. We got started very well, just the two of us. But of course, even though we wear all the hats, we still missed some people. So, though, for example, artistic people who can make 3D models, 2D, anything like that. So yeah, we have now everything, and we are 5 people at the moment. So three programmers, me as a designer, producer, and then an artist. So, but everything is built from ground up to be a Roblox company. So we only make Roblox games now. So didn't transition an old studio, we made a new one.
Right, noted. I just want to mention that if there are any studios who are currently thinking about switching from mobile or other platforms to Roblox and have any questions, please drop them in the comments and we can answer them either throughout the webinar or at the very end. Stephen, I'm going to go back to you now, and I want to talk a bit more about what we saw in the benchmarks, because there was quite a different result of game with lower and higher playtime. So if a studio now developing on Roblox wants to scale their games, is it even possible to turn those 3 minutes snappy quick games into games that attract player for longer, that drive longer playtimes? Or is it not possible?
Yeah, I think it would be very, very, very difficult to take a game that is really at that like 3 minute, average session time level, and then make it a game that we're all the way up to, 20, 25 minutes. And so I'm going to sort of steal something that Olli shared a couple of days ago, which he can expand on later. But he mentioned how, yeah, if you want a really high average session time, let's say 25 minutes, you need some players that are spending hours in the game that really help bring your average up. And, if you can imagine, if you have a game that has like a 3 minute average session time, you probably have some players that are spending, a lot that are spending less than a minute. You maybe have some that are spending 5. And then so the average comes out to 3 minutes. And so, to take a game like that is not hooking players right away, that's not rewarding them and driving, sort of progression throughout the game, then it's going to be hard to take that game and then just make it a game that suddenly, has that really, really long, retention and is able to drive that monetization and all those important signals to the algorithm. So that being said, I think where the benchmark report is useful, it's like there's advice that we share that says, hey, if you have a 3 minute game, here are things that you can focus on to help you get to 8 minutes, right? How can you go at least move up a little bit? And, for those early phases, it's really about that onboarding. It's really about hooking players right away. As you get more into that middle section of like, okay, cool, we've been able to hook players right away. How do we get from And again, this might be a different game entirely, but how do you get a game from like 10 minutes to 15 minutes? And then it becomes more about these other factors around progression and maybe like social co-play, like how do you make it more social? How do you get that longer engagement time? And so, yeah, it's certainly challenging to go from the very bottom to the very top. But I think the way to think about it is, hey, for this game that I have, how do I make this better, more optimized? And then in the future, for my next game, maybe I won't be starting at 3 minutes again. Maybe I'll be starting at 8 minutes. And then how do I take that and get that to 15 minutes? I think those pathways are very possible.
Yeah. So that sounds like kind of a learning curve that studios have to go through, develop a game, see how it performs, where they can improve, but not necessarily go towards stretching and scaling that game, because that requires a new package of mechanics, new package of what the game is about, possibly introducing brand new features, going more into the social aspects of a game. So it's more of creating a game after game in whatever span of the time that would be, and just really trying to climb the ladder, right?
Yeah, and I've heard from developers who've said, "Oh, we launch a game, we won't know if it's going to work until we launch it. We'll launch it, and sometimes it'll take off, and we know that this game is really working, and sometimes we know this game isn't working, and so we shut it down quickly and we move on to the next one."
Yeah, and also take an inspiration, right? Because you are not the only one who's creating in the space. So there are games that already are on the level where you want to be, and you can take an inspiration from those.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like clearly huge games, Grow a Garden, Steal a Brain Rot, 99 Nights in the Forest, more recently, Fish It. These games have had just enormous success, right? Over 1 million concurrent users, in some cases over 20 million concurrent users. And by and large, these games are not super complex, at least at first. They're like very simple, quick, easy to understand, quick to jump into. And those are great inspiration, right? Those are great ways to learn and develop, based on, what you can see what they're doing that's working well.
Yeah. Olli, what is your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, if you talk about games that are in the very low session times, I'm just thinking like how to look at it. It's usually either one of three things. Is one, there is a game-breaking bug or something that doesn't work that you should be aware of, that people drop out. But usually that's not the case, because you should know that you've tested your game. That can happen. But then also either you're not onboarding the players to the fun, or they just don't find the game fun. It's quite generalizing this, but they have that. You have a very small window to prove the players that their time is worth spent in your game, and that's really hard in a platform like Roblox. Like we talk about how easy it is to jump from game to game. So yeah, if I'm in that bracket and it's not about the bug or onboarding, then I would probably move to a different game already. Try to make a more interesting core loop, more fun mechanics or something.
Yeah, gotcha. We have a comment here, or question from the audience, from Shannon. Great information here. I love the hook in game 1 and then build for longer engagement in game 2. Are there any games doing this successfully right now? Can either of you come up with an example?
So I don't necessarily have a specific example in game 2. I've spent time working with Sawhorse Productions, and when Sawhorse was starting out, Sawhorse wasn't really focused a lot on game mechanics. It was really about like building experience games for brands, and it was about kind of creating telling a brand story. But it's just that like the algorithm is so important, and the algorithm really wants to see strong gameplay. It really wants to see really much longer engagement time, better retention, better monetization, all of these metrics. And so it's more like studios have had to evolve, especially I think in the brand space, where it's like you really have to deliver, fun gameplay level. I'm sure there's lots of studios. From what I've heard, I can't recall the name of the developer, but there's a popular game on the platform called Dead Rails. And so Dead Rails is a game that certainly was really successful. It came out like in the springtime. And from what I've heard, the developer of that game had made previous games. He had sold previous games, but didn't have the success of Dead Rails, like anything like that, right? So it's not like the developer came from nowhere. Like, oh, the developer was working. The developer was, honing their craft, and then, sort of came together with their next game, and then boom, Dead Rails came out and was a really big success. I think if you look at, the games that I mentioned earlier, Grow a Garden, Steal a Brainrot, 99 Nights in the Forest, those aren't the first games that those people have worked on, right? They've really been grow on the platform, and that's led to breakthrough success eventually.
Good example. Olli, does anything come to your mind?
Yeah, not necessarily directly answering the right question, but there's a new game on the platform called The Forge, and I read about it a bit. And they said that they look into the games that are like simple game mechanics, like simulator games, and they wanted to add more to that to make it a deeper experience for long-term players. And they've been popping off recently, like having hundreds of thousands concurrent users over multiple days already, or a couple of weeks. So I think they have a very big background already in making Roblox games, but they also made research that, hey, this is sticky mechanic. Let's use that mechanic as a base and then build on top of that. So you can also learn from what is already on the platform and make it better.
Right. Shannon, I hope this answered your question. I can also see that there are other questions waiting to be answered. We are going to take them at the end of the webinar. So let's go back to building on Roblox. Recently, we started seeing that Roblox is attracting more premium studios who are almost console thinking. Deep systems. Are deeper games the next wave, or are we still kind of in the space where the viral games are the king? Stephen, would you like to take this one?
Sure. Yeah, I can hop in here. Yeah, I think we've certainly seen there's been these huge viral successes. Again, Grow a Garden, Steal a Brainrot. Just a distinction here is like when we talk about a viral success, I think we're talking about in some ways a game that has just grown in popularity, that a lot of people are playing, that a lot of people are talking about. Steal a Brainrot is a unique example because it is this sort of viral success, but it's also based on viral IP, this like Brainrot, Italian Brainrot thing. So it's sort of like double virality. And so it's sort of, very striking to see these games that have just blown away expectations in terms of what's possible on Roblox, getting to these 10 million, 15 million, 20 million concurrent users. Those are really unheard of, levels. And there is a sort of virality to them, right? That's really making people, share them, talk about them. You have influencers, content creators that are, posting about these games, and that makes the games more popular, and then more people come, and then more content creators post about them, and then so the word spreads and these games really take off. I think that certainly that is very attractive, right? If you're a developer, that's a dream come true, to have a game hit those heights, to be that popular, to be generating tens of millions of dollars, on the platform. That's certainly incredible. That being said, there's something to be said about like, hey, not just chasing trends, not just trying to create viral hits. I think that there's something to be said about kind of going in the opposite direction when everybody's going one way and going a different path, that that, might be, more focused on like following your vision and being able to create something sort of unique and differentiated on the platform. And so at the Roblox Developers Conference this year, there was a panel where the creator of this popular game, Bee Swarm Simulator, was talking about how, he cautions friends who are chasing trends to go down that route, because it can lead you in a lot of different directions, and you might not necessarily, like find success that way, and then there could be other ways. And he talked about how his game hasn't been updated very often, and it's really just sort of focused on what he believes the game should be, and the direction it I think both pathways are viable, whether you're like, hey, we want to make a viral hit, or hey, we want to make something that's more enduring, that isn't necessarily sort of just chasing trends. So I think it just depends on, what's the right approach for you.
Right. Yeah. Olli, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, I would like to add that the latest Q3 report, they said that the daily active user was 151 million players on the platform. So I think that tells me that there is space for many different kind of games, and both like viral hit games, or like short games, and deeper games, and everything in between. That there is a lot of people who wants to play on Roblox. So that tells me that there is possible to make a good business in many different ways. And so I think viral games will always be part of it. But of course, I'm a bit biased that I hope and think that the deeper games will show sustained growth and player base over like years, or can be played for years. There are already a couple of these games that have been popular for many years, like Blox Fruits in the front page almost every day. And I just think there's space for both.
Right. Stephen, you mentioned that there are two types of virality, and that is either become viral with your game or be based on on already a viral trend. Do you think that one of them is more relevant or successful than the other?
I think that's like, I think that part of it is, I think it just sort of depends on your skill set. It depends on your interests. It depends on a number of factors that more are personal to sort of like the team, the creators. So if you had asked me at the beginning of the year, like, oh, hey, there's this trend, Italian brain rot, will it still be popular by the end of the year? I would say no, and I would have been wrong. And it's like, so if you're good, like I don't spend a lot of time on TikTok and like, sort of like social media platforms, looking at memes and sort of staying up to date on those things. But if you're someone who's like really in tune with that, and like really is excited about sort of building in that space, then fantastic. You're going to be well suited to be able to lean into that. If you're somebody like me who says, oh yeah, like I understand and I'm more interested in like let's say sort of viral mechanics in a game, and like how do you get, or marketing, and like how do you build relationships with influencers so they're excited, and how do you build that into a game, and like, sort of building virality that way. And it's less about sort of tapping into existing internet trends, and like more focused on like, sort of game development, and maybe coming up with concepts that you think could be the next Italian brain rot. Like I think those again, it's not a one size fits all approach. It's really based on like, who are you? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities that you have?
Right. That's a good answer. Let's move forward to the realm of branded experiences, which is the last topic that we want to discuss here. And Olli, I want to ask you, because you are already shipping branded experiences, and on top of it, you are building your own MMORPG game, which is quite deep product bet. What signals did you get from Roblox that made you confident that this type of game is worth pursuing?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a bit unconventional if you think about what's trending right now or has been trending in the past couple of years. And for us, we did some research on like what are popular mechanics on Roblox, and then we basically we look into like simulators and RPGs, and we kind of like think that maybe what if we make something that we combine them, that we have simple mechanics like simulators, but deep progression, power progression, cosmetic, like meta game side, or where you can play for like hopefully hundreds of hours eventually, and the content would not end. And we look into that and then think like, that could work. We have some benchmark games from outside of Roblox that are doing this on the MMORPG genre, like World of Warcraft or RuneScape, etc. For example. And we started building that, just also a little bit out of passion that we kind of want to see the game. And then what kind of boosted my confidence in the past couple of weeks is the game I just mentioned about the Forge, that has very similar thesis of like combining these mechanics. And I even though it's a bit different than our approach, it kind of proves me that there is demand for this type of games as well. So there is audience who likes this kind of mechanics, who likes basically the stuff that we're also building. So I'm really excited about that, and it's a good game as well, the Forge. And new benchmark game reference. Are you muted?
Yes, I'm music indeed. Sorry. This does sound like a green light for you to go ahead, but still we see that some brand experiences actually flop right after they are launched. So how do you build an experience that is good? In particularly branded experience, I mean. What is the key there? How to find a balance?
Yeah, that's also a great question. I can start with this, and maybe Stephen has something to add. But of course, it kind of depends on the brand, what they want to achieve on the platform, and do they want to have a short-term campaign and see just visits and session time with the brand, or would they want to have long-term game that also could generate money? And it's very easy to go wrong here, and like there could be mismatch with the audience, that the audience might not care about your IP that much, or if they care, the implementation of the IP was not the way they want to interact with it. Or it's a very tough question. But yeah, for us, for now, our clients have been mostly interested in the session times and the amount of unique users, especially because we are from Finland and our clients are from Finland, that they really want to reach Finnish users. So we've been doing that quite well here locally. So yeah, it kind of depends how you measure it.
Yeah, we will actually get to KPIs and reporting on branded experiences in the next question. But Stephen, what do you think? What makes a branded experience flop or drop a hit?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's one way that for sure has been a challenge, and that's certainly been this like brands that are coming in and building, let's call it a hub with like mini games. And so those types of branded experiences are really putting the brand first. They're really saying, hey, check us out. And it's sort of putting the brand's objectives, the brand's placement ahead of making a fun game. Now, again, making a fun game is easier said than done. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would make a fun game. So it's not an easy thing. But I think the games that are branded games that are successful, whether it's meant to be for a short time or whether it's meant to be for a longer time, they're able to really put that fun sort of above the brand and just make it, really, again, easy to jump into, hooks you right away, delivers a lot of fun, and that, again, easier said than done. And so if you're a brand that's looking to, have a presence on Roblox, and for some brands, they want to have a presence, but they have mandates where they have to like really push their brand, and that can lead to decreased fun. And so it can be a challenging because it might be hard for brands to move in that direction and kind of let go of control a little bit and like let the developers push the boundaries of what the brand, how it shows up on the platform. But that fun is just so important to having that success on the platform.
Yeah. So you're saying that not every brand is available to having fun, is not available to that extent.
I think there's some brands that have where the companies, where the people working on it have like maybe very, very rigid rules or perspectives on, we like the brand needs to be everywhere and the brand needs to show up here and it needs to show up there and people need to do this and they need to do that. And when a brand comes in with a lot of like overly strong opinions and rules and regulations, then it leaves little room for creativity to be able to make something that players will enjoy.
Right. Yeah. Olli already touched upon KPIs, what to look after. He mentioned that the companies that his studio works with are looking into session lengths and the users. Stephen, you also consult with many creators of branded experiences. If you could choose one KPI to define success for branded activation, what do you think that would be? What do you hear from the teams that you work with?
So if it's a short-term marketing focused activation, right? We want to have people know about our brand or our product, then it's going to be something related most likely to reach. So that could be, in some cases, an impressions number. In some cases, it could be a visits number. It just really depends. But like if it's marketing focused, then it's usually reach. Engagement is like secondary to reach. If it's a game that is, again, more like focused on being a persistent game that has, monetization as its focus, then certainly monetization will be the most important. Now, monetization will be tied to reach as well, right? If you have a few players, then you're going to monetize much less than if you have a lot of players. So, reach ultimately is really important in order to deliver results. And so, as big a game as possible, that's the goal. Now you need strong engagement to drive that reach. And so it's kind of like, you can't necessarily just focus on how do we drive reach. It's really about making that game better, making it more fun.
I would like to ask on top of this, for branded experiences, how does the visibility on homepage work? Is it the same algorithm, same mechanism as is for any other experience? Or is there, for example, paid boost for these games to get on top?
Yeah, I can take this one. So the experience is basically in the same pool with all other games. So if your branded experience have great numbers, Roblox algorithm might take it and push it forward to the front page. But quite often, how we get the players is that we run an ad campaign on the Roblox platform itself. They have an ad manager, and then you can target it. For example, I can give an example again from Finland. Though we can target it to only Finnish players. So we can have a targeted campaign that on the Finnish players sponsored section of the front page, our game is there. And that's where we want to get the game. So, and then maybe it starts to take off on the other metrics, but paid user acquisition, or then on top of that, the brands we work with, they usually have their own reach already through social media or other media types, so they can advertise it there that, hey, you should come check our game on Roblox. So it's kind of like works many ways. So marketing is a very big part, at least for us, when working with the brands.
Understood. And then in your experience, do branded experiences drive long-term value, or is it just short campaign burst? From what you just said, I understand that there is a difference in goal, in what you want to convey with these experiences. But how does this work?
Yeah, for us, the games branded games we made, usually varies from one day to few weeks. So it's kind of like based on an event or some short couple weeks campaign. And yeah, it's like, I guess that's a bit unique. We are in a unique position where we can build. One of our clients is the national broadcasting company in Finland, it's Yle, and they want to have events on Roblox that are like relevant also outside of Roblox. For example, last weekend we had a Independence Day event on Roblox that was already, we're celebrating the independence of Finland. So it's just that game was open, or that world was open only for 7 hours. So very different way of looking at it.
Yeah. Stephen, what do you think?
In terms of the like long-term, like sort of value?
The stickiness of the game campaign.
Yeah. So again, some are going to be short, like Olli is saying, some are going to be longer. I think, there's examples out there of games, big and small, that have been able to kind of keep players coming back, and that can be valuable to brands that, there's a lot of IP brands that, are on Roblox, and for them, they might be looking at Roblox as a place to have ongoing content in between sort of big tentpole moments, such as like a new television series season release or a new movie coming out. And so Roblox can be a place for them to connect with fans and keep them interested in the IP, sort of in between these bigger moments. So it just depends on, like so specific based on the brand and their situation.
Understood. We have a question from Grace here, who is asking any opinions on how successful paid sponsored acquisitions are in driving paying users.
Great. Yeah, I can take this. And hey, Grace, nice to see your question here. So I've worked on projects where we've really tried to answer this specific question about how effective sponsored placement, sponsored experience ads on the platform can be at driving paid. And we've had some testing and seen some initial success with this. So there's some opportunities for sure to experiment with this. I would encourage you and your team to do that. It's no secret that, like, hey, the vast majority of monetization on Roblox is coming from like Western Europe. And so, if you were looking to drive monetization from sponsored ads, it would make sense that those would be the specific regions that you would be targeting to drive users that would be willing to pay. And so, there's, I think, opportunities there for sure. Obviously, if a game is not monetizing already and you drive more people to it, it doesn't necessarily mean it'll monetize more. But if the game is like working in terms of monetization, and then, bringing in more users from those regions that are more likely to spend Robux in the game, then from early testing, I've seen that can be effective.
Stephen, Grace, I hope that answered your question. Olli, is there something that you want to add to this?
No, I think that was very well answered. I I can say that we haven't done that much advertising yet that we would target for paying users.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, in that case, we will slowly wrap up. But I have one extra question, and that is Christmas are coming to us. We are slowly approaching this period. Actually, within 13 days, 14 if you are based in the US. Kids are gonna get new devices. They are going to get gift cards and such. How does this period look like for Roblox creators? I can imagine, because we were discussing that if you want to keep your game alive, you need to really amp up the content, live ops. This is a perfect opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, so this sort of question about, holidays and how does this, impact sort of spending on the platform. This is my favorite question. I'm excited for this question. The question I've been waiting for. One of the first projects I worked on was related to UGC sales. So avatar items for sale on Roblox. And we'd put out some items in like October, November, December. And come Christmas Day, the sales, the graph just totally spiked. There was such a huge spike in sales. And it was like, oh, wow, all these people got Robux for Christmas. And so they were, going to Roblox and spending those Robux. And they're on vacation, nobody's, working or at school. And so they have the time, and now they have the funds to do so. So yeah, whether you're creating UGC items, whether you have, a game that, you can push an update out that is a big update that'll get people excited, that'll be enticing to them, that'll have really cool items and rewards that they might not get, at another time. This can, again, the game has to be working, it has to be driving monetization, but like, wow, yeah, this is a huge time for sort of driving sales on the platform. So definitely worth taking advantage of.
Nice. Olli, what do Christmas look like in your studio, profession-wise?
Well, we go on a holiday.
Bye.
I mean, it's exciting time, of course, especially if you have a live game. Like Stephen said, we don't have a live game right now that we would want to do this, but maybe next Christmas. But maybe giving a Christmas offer on the eve or on the day, so that if you have already people coming to your game, they're gonna get Robux on that day. And if they're coming to your game, why not give them an offer that sounds very great? Like, hey, we know you have Robux, we have something special for you. And then you can target like a limited time offer, for example, that would probably drive a lot of revenue as well. So yeah, it's exciting time for sure to be developer or creator on the platform around Christmas, because there's a surge of Robux flowing in and out. Yeah.
See, great, thank you. I want to remind our audience that we've got 5 minutes left, but there is still space for questions. So if you've got any, please let us know now so we can answer them live. If you don't make it during live, drop them anyway, and we will try to answer them in writing for you. There is one lingering question from Ken. I'm going to bring it up. What do you think the impact of video is going to be? You can now upload 10 clips of up to 5 minutes in length. Do you think this will significantly improve ad monetization for developers? Will the community care about video? Guys, what do you think?
Yeah, I can jump in. I think my perspective on video has evolved a bit, because I think how previously the idea of like, oh, why would people watch video content? Why would they come to watch video content on Roblox if they're there to play games? And I think that's changed a little bit with the with Roblox releasing Roblox Moments, which is these short-form, vertical, sort of TikTok-like, the ability to record these within games, and then the ability to create games that highlight this content, whether it's through, sort of leaderboards, top videos, etc. So I think that Roblox itself, with the sort of release of Moments, has leaned into video being a bigger part of the platform, and by doing so has opened up the opportunity for developers to use their creativity to figure out the best ways to incorporate video, whether in gameplay, related to gameplay, or just independent and sort of more video focused type games. And certainly that has the potential to lead to, there being ads when there's videos. It's like, we're not really seeing that yet, but if it takes off, then sure, then you can bet there's going to be ads eventually, and then those will be ways for developers to be able to monetize. But I think we have a long way to go in terms of this developing further.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. And we've got one more question. Have you seen philanthropic initiatives enter the space? And in your view, have they been successful?
No, well, I can tell from our experience that we've partnered in the previous events we've had with this, what is this, Save the Children, and then this local foundation that helps children in need, and they've helped us. They've taken part in the campaigns. So, for example, like they have a stand in the world, and you can get information about them, and then they take part in the event. Maybe they have some moderators in the event or something like that. They want to meet the kids where the kids are. So at least that's from our experience, that we partner with these organizations to kind of like advertise, or like not advertise, but for the user to see that there are these kind of services available if you need those. So
yeah, there's a couple more that come to mind. One is Ronald McDonald House. So the sort of philanthropic arm of McDonald's, that they had built an experience maybe in Sweden with Carta. And there's also another organization, I believe, similar to Save the Children, Compassion, that had done a campaign across some Roblox games. I think there's also maybe some sort of like cancer society. And so in some cases, these organizations, these nonprofit charities, are sort of partnering with game developers of existing Roblox games and showing up there and sort of raising awareness within those games. So doing a game integration. And so I haven't done a ton of research on them, but when you're doing an integration, you're reaching an existing audience, and so you're able to get some scale, get some reach. So yeah, I think if you Google around, you might be able to find something around Ronald McDonald House and Compassion, things like that.
Great. Thank you very much, guys. This concludes our 60 minutes. So I hope this webinar was insightful, that our audience got some actionable tips and ideas on how to move forward with their experiences. Thank you very much, Stephen and Olli, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
And I would like to just remind you that at Game Analytics, we work with Roblox creators on a daily basis. We support one of the biggest launches on the platform, as well as small creators with different tools that we have. So whether you want to get more actionable on your data journey, or you don't know at all where to start, feel free to reach out to us and we will help you navigate this space. Again, thank you very much for joining us, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We are going to see you with our next webinar in January. Goodbye.